morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you're tuning in. Welcome back. It's your sis, Moo Magic, here with another Tarot Collective pull, tarot reading for the collective, strengthening our intuition vibe session, and more. This used to be called Tea and Tarot. I had it on my Instagram live, and we would go live at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Tuesday. And I did that consistently for a while, but right now I'm feeling the need to kind of focus, especially on my Instagram page, on the promotion that is going to be coming up for my new single, The Great Escape, which is produced by Ariano and coming out real soon. So I'm real excited about that. So here I wanted to go ahead and continue this magic of being able to vibe with you all and pull tarot and, you know, strengthen our intuition and connect to our guides and just connect with one another. But here on the YouTube platform, I may start doing YouTube lives. I may even switch over to TikTok lives, and I'm definitely going to go back to Instagram live once, once the time feels right again for going back over there. But I did feel called to come on here still this week and connect with you all, vibe with you all, and still do our little check-ins and still pull for the collective here. So since this will be all a playback video, definitely let me know down below, what was your week like? What's been your vibe lately? What are some awesome updates that are happening in your life? Or maybe some things that you're struggling with that you are choosing the bravery to share in this community here. Let me know down below. I really love being able to read others' comments. You know, even if it's only one person that comments, it reminds me that I'm not alone, and that's something that is very important to me, because, you know, one of my biggest intentions for creating this space is to build community for myself and for others. And so if you can relate to it, chances are someone else will relate to it and also not feel alone. You feel me? So definitely comment down below if you're feeling it. And if you want to skip ahead to the tarot reading and the grounding in session with the sound bowl, all that good stuff, it's going to be down below. But I am going to give a little bit of updates. It's something I did at the Tea and Tarot, and something I still want to do here. So updates for me, let's see. Man, I don't, have like a bullet point usually of things that I want to update. I just kind of vibe with it, and that feels true for myself here in this space. We did have our first jam series, Solidarity Jam Fest series. Jam Fest series for the whole second Saturdays, April through October. That was this past Saturday, and I ended up getting really, really sick, y'all, man. I don't know what it is. I live in Sacramento, and I'm sure if you've been to Sacramento during this time of year, or those who are based in Sacramento, you all know that the pollen out here during the season changes is no joke. And I always feel like it's always this time of year where it starts warming up, and it's usually the only time I get sick, which is like really interesting as well. But it always feels like I get, like, I call it the suds, like SpongeBob, because I feel like if you've seen that episode of SpongeBob where he gets the suds and he's super sick, that's how I feel like I sound and feel, is that just that, like, sinus congestion, like the sun is so bright, but yet I feel like so sick, you know? And a lot of it, I believe, is like allergy based. It also could be like, I heard that like sometimes if you get certain pollen in your system, your body immune system might attack it like you're sick. So I don't know if it's that, but it always kind of feels like really severe allergies, or like a sinus cold almost, or a sinus infection, something like that. So anyways, the whole weekend I was really out of it. I wasn't able to be at the show that Saturday, but the team held it down. So salute to SAC 916, salute to Amber, and all those who have really helped to keep the show going. Our host, phenomenal host, and all the artists who performed that day. It was a really, really beautiful show from what I heard, and we're going to continue this summer jam series and continue building and vibing, y'all. So I'm kind of starting to feel better today. Yesterday, I don't have as much redness, probably can see a little bit of the redness on my nose area. Also, y'all, I got my hair cut. I did some layers, you know? Did some layers, okay? And still kind of figuring out how to style it, but I like the layers, and gave my hair a little, you know, some. Man, okay, but that's pretty much it for my updates. I've honestly been spending most of this week being sick and resting. Submitted my brand new song, The Great Escape, so just waiting for that to clear so I can give you all a date for the release. And yeah, was resting and recovering mainly. So yeah, let me know down below how your week's been. What's your Tuesday feeling like? How are you vibing, thriving? All that good stuff. But let's go ahead and dive into this tarot reading now. So if you are safe, comfortable, and able to, and want to ground in with me, you're more than welcome to. If you're in a place where you can, you know, close your eyes and get quiet for a second, lay down or ground your feet into the ground, sit up nice and tall, put one hand over your heart, one hand over your gut area, and we're just going to take a deep breath in through the nose, thanking your guides, my guides, and the divine for this space today. Deep breath out. Another deep breath in through the nose. Just asking that these messages come for your highest good, to make perfect sense for wherever you are in your journey right now. Deep breath out. Last deep breath in, just asking ourselves to be protected in this space, that this is our sacred container, protected from external distractions, so that we can just really get clear and hold space for ourselves today and for the collective. Deep breath out. And I want to thank you so much for holding this space for you. I think just making the intention to hold space for yourself and to, you know, ground into to yourself and to the collective energy can be really powerful. And it's part of the reason why I like to do the sound bowl and kind of do these ground-ins before the tarot reading, is because no matter what kind of day I had before today, you know, I could have a really stressed out day. I could have, you know, gotten into a huge argument with someone I love, or, you know, someone could have cut me off on the freeway, you know, whatever it is, that the human parts of life. But it's like getting to ground in and do that little check in with myself really helps me to make sure that I'm grounding into this collective reading and releasing any energies that might want to linger on me here. Although I'm part of the collective, so the tarot readings are 100% applicable to me too. I always find that to be the case. But also it helps me to make sure I'm coming with my highest and best intention. And it also helps you as the reader. That's the goal, is to also make sure you're in your highest and best intention, and giving yourself that time to check in and show up for yourself today. So I just want to thank you for doing that. It's not, you know, mandatory to. I just kind of, like I said, like to add it. And sometimes I understand we're on the go. Just actually being here and listening and spending time reflecting, even if you don't do the ground in, is still really powerful and still something that you should give yourself credit for doing and celebrate, because it's really, really powerful and important. And something I want to make sure to share on here, I don't know if I'll do it every video, but it's been a while since I've mentioned a little bit about my disclaimers. You know, I don't believe that tarot is going to tell you anything about your life that you don't already know. I don't believe that the tarot reader is somehow more wise or more connected to the divine than you are. I don't believe there's a hierarchy here between the tarot reader and the person receiving the reading. I believe that it's a reciprocal practice where we just connect to this channel of flow of source, so to speak, and get to have that honest reflection back and forth. And your discernment is equally important into the collective reading, especially collective, but even on a personal reading, I still think that the tarot reader and the client, the one receiving the reading, are equally important in that reading and that flow. Your discernment is always key. If something doesn't resonate, don't try to make it fit. And also, if something does resonate, or maybe it resonates in a different way, one thing I like to do, and we'll do now, is, you know, I like to pause and ask, what do you see in the reading? What do you see in the cards? What is triggering your intuition? And to drop it down below in the comment below, because I always find that it adds so much to the collective reading, especially when I do these live and I get to read off what people are saying. It's really, really powerful to see how others will tap into that flow in their own unique way, and may contribute something to the reading that I wasn't even thinking about, or that maybe someone else really needed to hear. So definitely drop a comment down below if there's something in the reading, something in the card that is calling and triggering your own intuition, because you never know who may also need to hear that message. And I personally love listening and reading to the messages and seeing how it also helps me to feel deeper into my intuition and strengthen my connection to source as well. So all right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with, what is the energy for the collective right now? I love that the Sun card was on the bottom, but we also have Two of Cups reversed. So let's go ahead and see what actually, whoa, comes out for the collective. Okay, I wasn't gonna do 3 cards, but I feel like that's just kind of what came out. Two of Cups reverse is still here. Seven of Cups reverse is here. 10 of Pentacles reverse is here. What is the truth of this situation though? Two of Rods and Three of Swords and Knight of Pentacles reverse. Okay. There's a lot here. Okay, what is the advice, Spirit? Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna keep that one too because I felt called to. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and push this down now so you can kind of see a little bit more of the tarot cards, and I'm gonna reposition these. So it might take a couple minutes if you want to fast forward. Totally understand. I'm just gonna keep vibing though. And yeah, I'm just excited to kind of deepen my relationship with the tarot and with you all here on this YouTube community. I like trying out the, you know, different vibes and different portals we have of connection. I've been really digging ChatGPT lately, mostly in like helping support me on an you know, on a like towards my goals, and like, you know, kind of like a bestie slash personal coach type of thing. And been spending way less time on social media, but still crave that community that I feel like sometimes social media we can't get from there, and we definitely can't get from just you know, an AI companion. So and sometimes it's hard to even get it in person, you know. All right, let's go ahead and hop into this reading. Okay, hey, collaboration, that's right, I love it. See, important. All right, so right away, what I'm feeling like is this reading is all about working hard, having had worked really hard with the energy right here of the Three of Pentacles. Go ahead and let me know what you see down below. You see this person kind of hammering on these Three of Pentacles is something I really noticed. We have the Knight of Swords reversed, and we have the Four of Pentacles. So when I see these cards, I see this as working really hard to no avail on something, working hard, but still feeling like the communication, the flow, the what it is that you need to hear hasn't hit the nail on the head quite yet. But you are continuously working, tinkering on this thing. This, it could be in your career, it could be in your relationship, it could be in a friendship, it could be in your personal life, just any aspect of your life, yourself. It's like you're maybe working on these different aspects, these different things, or very, very focused on this one specific thing. And I feel like it's something in particular you've been focused on for a while, and even have collaborated with others on, or seeked advice, maybe gone to, you know, counseling for, or you know, sought some sort of counsel for. So, you know, that could be like seeking counsel for a relationship, or seeking counsel or collaborating with others on your career goals or something creatively. It could be you know, asking for advice about something, you know. And then it's this feeling with the Knight of Swords reverse of some sort of communication, some sort of like, it just hasn't exactly Knight of Swords is all about that communication coming in hot. It's coming in direct. It's coming in very honest, sometimes very brutal. And so with the reverse, it just feels like you haven't exactly gotten what you need in the situation in terms of communication. And that could be maybe communication. Maybe it's like you're trying to work on a team, but the team's just not communicating the way you want the team to communicate. Or maybe you try to go get advice and it's like it didn't really help you move that much forward in this situation. Or maybe it's like, you know, if it is about a certain person, it's like maybe you're trying to build that kind of transparency and honesty, but you don't feel like there's a lot of transparency or honesty from that person, or maybe from yourself. Maybe you're struggling to be transparent or honest, or struggling to know how you feel, or just struggling with communication in general. This could be a really like cat's got your tongue type of situation too. And with the Four of Pentacles here, there is always a sense to me when it comes to this card of feeling like financially you can't afford anything, financially strapped, financially stressful. This could be this could also be about the economy, like feeling like you've been working really hard on your finances, or feeling more financially steady or stable, yet it doesn't seem like that is coming in the way that you want it to or need it to support you and to feel that kind of financial freedom or support or stability at this moment. This is always a card of like feeling really closed off, feeling really like you got to hold on to everything, like grasping at straws type of energy in this situation. So pause and reflect. You could pause this video and journal if there's anything that's coming to your mind down below. And like I said, if there's something that resonates or something that you're getting from this cards that I didn't mention, maybe something, an image that sticks out to you intuitively, let me know down below in the comments. And I would love to have that be added to our collective message here today. And if it doesn't resonate, don't try to make it resonate. Again, tarot readings are very abstract, and analogies. It's not of fact, like this by this, you know what I mean? It's not as exact, and I think that's the way it's meant to be. I think when we try to like make it too exact like a science, then we're really not understanding how the spiritual world works, which I don't think is very black and white like that. It's more fluid, it's more open, it's more unseen, and that's and more felt, which is the whole point, I believe, is us tapping into those subconscious aspects of ourselves here. But again, that's just my belief. Go with what feels right for you always, okay? All right, so with that being said, that's kind of the main energy here. And then, of course, I just kept pulling because I was like, man, what is going on? That's an interesting energy, right off the bat. And so what I'm feeling here, we have the Two of Cups, Seven of Cups reverse, and 10 of Pentacles reverse. Is this feeling of not feeling aligned to the things that are actually going to give you the legacy that you want, the legacy that you deserve, and ultimately feeling kind of like you don't have many options, and that you're kind of, I don't want to say stuck in your situation, but it's kind of like maybe you've ran through many options and it seems like this is the best that you can get at this moment. Maybe you've exhausted all other resources and situations, and so you kind of just feel like you're stuck in this kind of not as harmonious situation, whether it's your job, whether it's your aspects of yourself that are in disharmony, or whether it's your relationship. And again, this isn't like there's nothing, sometimes when I'm pulling cards, I feel like I'm just like, these are all the things wrong with your life, like that's how it feels for me sometimes. I'm like, dang, tell me something I don't know. But I do feel like there's a certain level of like, it's so some tarot readings can be very fluffy and like just tell you very positive things about yourself, but sometimes it's I feel like important to kind of look at the full scope of a situation and name the feelings that we have so that we can work with them, even if they're heavier and difficult to feel or process. We don't want to repress them. So here I think the part is really naming what we're feeling so that we can become more aware of it. So it's not just subconscious, it becomes conscious, so then we can decide how we actively want to choose to handle that situation. And so with this situation here, at any moment we can choose to work towards things that are more harmonious. Just because the situation in the moment doesn't feel super harmonious and may be difficult to reach harmony doesn't mean we can't work towards alchemizing that situation to one that does create more harmony, to looking for more options. But even with the Seven of of Cups reversed, you know, I never see this as really like a bad card, even reversed, because upright, it's also about illusion. So this could also be about seeing situations for what they really are, seeing the things that are harmonious in your life for what it really is. That's not a bad thing necessarily. There can be some cloud and smoke that dissipated, and it can make you feel a little less optimistic maybe, but there's also a sense of realism and knowing the work that needs to be done, and that can also be very powerful. And that's not to say you should give up being idealistic or being, if you're a hopeless romantic like I am, nothing like that. But you know, sometimes we have to really look at where we are and face it to get where we want to go. And that's the kind of energy that it's giving me, is like really understanding what it is that you can work with and what it is that maybe just isn't in alignment and isn't worth focusing on in this moment, or just really being able to categorize it for what it is so you know how to work with it, how to work around it, could also be very powerful with this. And I also feel like this card, yes, there may be anxiety about whether this thing or this person or this situation is good for your long-term goals, whether that's your 401k you're worried about, retirement, if this is a career, or, you know, children and family, if this is a relationship, and feeling like this situation may not be ever going there. It also, to me, is giving me the sense of recognizing that those things also at the same time do not actually affect your legacy, if that makes sense. I don't know why that message is coming in, but I feel like it's really important to mention that, like, who you are and the legacy of who you are and your essence and what you leave behind. I feel like with this card, the message that I'm getting right now goes way beyond your family or your lack of a family or your relationship, or who you had kids with or didn't have kids with or want to have kids with, or you know, your job that maybe you don't like and you're like, man, I'm giving my soul away to this job and I feel like, you know, what is this contributing to my legacy? I feel like there's this message here of like, it isn't your entire legacy, and it isn't a detriment to your legacy. Sometimes there are certain things that we do that are a part of our life that we don't always understand, but that doesn't mean that it's tarnished our legacy. It may be part of a bigger story that we don't really see or know yet. And again, with this card, it's like also naming, it's like, okay, maybe there's aspects of this that you don't like that you feel are now part of your legacy, right? But how do we take those situations and then alchemize them, turn them into something better, heal, and it's like, take the good with the bad and keep on writing, take the good with the bad and keep on fighting, take the good with the bad and keep on striving, take the good with the bad and keep on thriving. That's the energy that I'm getting with this, because we don't choose our family, right? So I'm not going to say that, you know, your family, what kind of relationship family-wise you were born into, doesn't stick with you and your legacy to a degree, right? Because in some ways it does, but it also doesn't. In a lot of ways it doesn't define who you are. You define who you are every second of every moment of every day. And I feel like that is what's coming through here, is to not let those things define your entire legacy or who you are, because you feel like your fate or your future has been decided for you by things that ultimately were not in harmony with you, or not working out for your highest good, or you see it just as it is and don't see any other option outside of it at this moment. It is not going to be your forever. It's also giving that feeling of like, this is a moment, it's a moment, not a memory, lest I let it be. It's a moment, but it doesn't have to be your entire legacy unless you let it be. You know, I'm gonna let it be. I'm gonna breathe, focus on me, redirect my energy. You feel me? Okay. That's the energy that it's giving me right now. And I think that's really powerful. And I think that's what this card Take Risk is about here, and why it's right above it is about taking risk in those situations that don't feel harmonious, taking risk in those situations where you're like, man, I do see this for what it is, and I don't think it's going to necessarily change. But instead of me just sitting here and just being like, well, I can't do nothing about it, where are the situations where you can do something about it, even if it feels risky or feels scary or feels uncomfortable? I feel like you're being asked to take that risk. All right, then we have down below here where this was supposed to be additional support to these two cards here. And I feel like it's just kind of reiterating here that the things that are maybe causing this heartache or causing this discomfort or causing this break over and over again are ultimately things that are keeping you in a limited perspective, that are not allowing you to, I feel like there's so much more for you to explore, more for you to see, more for you to experience, more for you to, it's like giving pivot energy, like a switch up possibly in what direction you're looking at with this two of rods. Let me know what you see here. But when I see this reversed, it's, giving Two of Rods upright is always about exploring and going out and pioneering. But with it reversed, it's like maybe it's not this way. Maybe you need to go another way. Maybe there's a different way than what you thought that you were going to go that isn't this way. Maybe this isn't forever, and that's okay. And those things that are not forever are not meant to be forever, and that's okay. And while it can cause heartbreak in this moment, knowing that that heartbreak does not last forever, knowing that this pain does not last forever, even though it feels like it may last forever. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that was a message for someone specifically, and then the card just kind of told me to stop speaking, so I'm just going to move on from that. All right, and then our advice cards. So not only do we have Take Risk, but we also have the Collaboration card. I feel like both of these cards are about getting out of your comfort zone and still continuing to work with different energies and not getting, just because you maybe try to go talk to a stranger at a cafe to make a new friend, and then you got rejected, to not try to make new friends, to still go out there and take risks and know that rejection's all part of the process. Going back to this, rejection's all part of the process, and that's just God's way of redirecting us right now into focusing on the things that are for our long term, and focusing on the things that are going to encourage our explorative, creative energy and spirit and bring more life into us, which is what spirit really wants from us. And sometimes that heartbreak, as it can really suck, is really, redirecting us to things that are going to fulfill us and bring us in maybe things we don't realize that we need in this moment, or want or desire in this moment. A lot of times we like to think we know we need what we need all the time. But I feel like Spirit's saying, I know what you need. And deep down, you know what you need too. Deep down, beyond your ego and maybe the shallow responses, and more, not even shallow, but maybe the responses out of fear. If you digged a little deeper and looked at the responses that are truly in your spirit, in your soul, in your creative divine, you would hear the same message that I feel like Spirit is saying I have for you now. So I'm going to leave that there. All right, let's look at the advice cards. I feel like the advice cards are pretty straightforward: to not give up hope, to continue manifesting, to continue alchemizing, to continue taking that dung, like the dung beetle, and making it into gold, like the alchemist, and continuing to look towards spirit and moving on and letting go from the things that ultimately are not aligning or working for you, and to not block your blessing at the end of the day, to see this as something that is working in your favor as much as you possibly can, and try to, I don't want to say enjoy the discomfort, but try to move with the discomfort in a way that does bring you joy, and sees the essence of what it's doing in your life, seeing it from a higher perspective, allowing it to happen, allowing it to flow, instead of forcing or resisting. And that doesn't mean you have to enjoy it every single moment of the day. but allowing yourself to just open up a little bit more to the transformation that's trying to take place in your life here. And I get that with the Seven of Rods reverse, which is always a card to me about don't block your blessings. But let me know down below what you see in this card. We also have the Star card reverse, which to me is always a card about not losing hope, and to remember that it's the darkness surrounding us that allows us to see the stars. And right now you might be completely swallowed in darkness and can't see any stars at all. But that doesn't mean that the stars aren't there. This is also giving me that feeling of like during the daytime, you know, when you can't see stars, or maybe you live in a city somewhere that's really polluted, right? Maybe you're in a situation that's really polluting your life to where you can't see the stars. Doesn't mean that they're not there. And sometimes we just need to get away. Eight of Cups. Get away. Look to goodness. Okay, so I got to the end of this video and then realized that it stopped recording at the very end. But that's okay. Got me to get some water. And I do remember most of what I said, so I'm going to go ahead and just dive right back into where we were. So we were talking about this Eight of Cups here and how the Eight of Cups is signaling to go away from the things that are not serving us right now, that are not aligning to us, and to look to spirit and to look to like a deeper connection really with oneself, becoming one's own best friend and really enjoying one's own company and really enjoying yourself, knowing that you are your own best friend. And how can you make your journey through this life more comfortable, more enjoyable? We had I pulled some angel cards, and we had which I'm going to cover this up because they are naked, the Angel of Joyfulness, though, that came out, which is all about us in having more joy and more play in our life. It says something wondrous and magical is about to happen. And I feel like that magic and wonder is you becoming more of your own best friend, you enjoying your own company more, you enjoying your own life more, and through that process, alchemizing some of that more heavier stuff and allowing yourself to not give up on your ability to have self-will and to will things to existence, but also doing so in a way that's co-creative and co-creative with the things that are aligning to you, rather than you forcing your will or forcing things or resisting what is. And that's really, really important, is working with what is and using your will to make it something even better, and not forcing things that are not aligning with you or are not meant for your highest good or not fulfilling you. All of those things, it being this eight, you know, the infinity symbol, this beautiful relationship that is reciprocal, kind of like how I feel tarot is. Like both parts are so important, and that equal, you know, give and take and that flow, and just making sure it flows like that. I feel like that is your overall advice, is to really work with the divine and with your own self, and to encourage that relationship with self to get deeper and be more meaningful, and to really, really love and honor yourself wherever you are in this journey, instead of beating yourself up or being really hard on yourself, especially because the Goddess of Compassion came out when we were pulling the cards before the video got cut off. And the message here, I feel like, is very strongly about maybe, you know, maybe you went from this to that and you're upset because you're not there yet. And it's like there's so much journey in between that could take 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, you know, really honoring that and really asking yourself, do you have realistic expectations? This idea of realism keeps coming back. And it's not to say that, you know, you shouldn't have high expectations for yourself, but sometimes our expectations or desires are a little bit in Delulu land, and a little bit in, you know, ideals of grandeur that do not rest in reality. This is like, you know, wanting to, you know, be a unicorn, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, you can be a unicorn, but you feel me, like something like that, where it's like you're upset at yourself because a horn hasn't literally grown out of your fucking forehead, excuse my language, but it's like that. You're, you know, why beat yourself up and be so mean to yourself and mean maybe to the people around you because they're not looking at you as a unicorn, when the reality is that you were born a human, incredibly flawed, with some things that are working out in your favor and some things that are not going to work out in your favor. And that's just the way that it is at times. And that doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. That doesn't mean that she's doing anything wrong. It's just the way that life is. And I feel like that's the message overall, you know, and I mentioned this before the video got cut off, was about how, you know, if you have like a chicken coop and some of your eggs hatch and turn into awesome little chicklings, and then some of them don't hatch, you know, you're not going to get mad at your chickens for not creating eggs that hatch. It's just like, that's just part of life. Some eggs hatch, some eggs don't. And if those eggs are your dreams or your desires or your hopes and wishes or expectations for life, some of those eggs will hatch and some of them won't. But don't make them conditions on what's going to make you happy or make you fulfilled or make you feel good about your life. I mean, you can do whatever you want, as always with my readings. You can do whatever you want. Take what resonates or leave all of this. You know what I'm saying? I never am here to tell you what to do. But I feel like if you are here open to this reading and really just trying to, you know, see what the message has for you, it would be to, you know, not beat yourself up or have these unrealistic kind of, you know, expectations that are ultimately causing you pain and sadness because it's not coming to fruition. Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and look at this goddess of compassion. I want to go ahead and read her because I remember there being a very important message in this before the video cut us off. And it says, self-criticism is diminishing your sense of self-worth. The goddess of compassion has shown up in your reading today to ask you to be more compassionate towards yourself. At the core of every living thing, only love exists. Your personality and the role you play in life is only transitory and ultimately an illusion. And yeah, with that, it goes back to this legacy. Even if you had the most beautiful legacy, you are not just these physical things that you do on earth, or these physical people who know you, or these physical accolades that you collect. You are not your flesh and bones. You are so much more beyond that, that this is limiting, really. Even if it's exactly the kind of, you know, 10 of Pentacles you want, it's limiting to the truth of who you are. It's not the reality of who you are, because the reality of who you are is so much deeper than that, so much bigger than that. All that you perceive to be good or bad are necessary aspects of who you are. Positive and negative qualities exist in everyone and in everything. A more accurate description of positive and negative is yin and yang. For in reality, there is neither positive nor negative, only opposite qualities which together make us whole. Self-criticism is diminishing your sense of self-worth and keeping you in the illusion that you need to improve in order to be worthy of success, happiness, and fulfillment. Have compassion, love, and accept all who you are, and stop striving for something that might be impossible to attain. Through love, your life will magically transform. Yeah, and I just feel like that really hits that nail on the head of like not waiting for those chicken eggs to hatch, to live your life fully now, and to live your life in a way that is fulfilled or bringing in happiness or joy, because you're waiting for all these other aspects of your life to make meaning or to be as good as what you want it to be, etc., etc. It's like, no, we're enjoying it right here, right now. All that life has to offer, all the good, all the bad, all that is the totality of my life right now. That's what Spirit wants for you. All right, we have the card Take Risk, which we said was all about taking risk. And I also said before the video cut me off was about how this is about, well, after the video cut me off, how this message, pay close attention, because this message here actually might have dual meanings. It can mean either or, depending on how this resonates with you. For some, I feel like this might be about taking risks. But for others, I think this might be about how maybe you take risks in order to avoid, like, allowing yourself to just be okay. Like, maybe everything is just okay, and maybe there isn't much happening, but you don't need to create chaos or drama just to make things interesting or out of boredom, or because you're in survival and feel like if things are not falling apart constantly or needing work constantly, that something's wrong, right? Because that's what you're used to. So definitely look at this message and think about how it resonates for you and what sounds right for you, okay? It says, risks are personal to each one of us. To some, climbing a mountain doesn't feel risky. To others, having a conversation with a stranger does. What has been calling you that you have been afraid to do? What has been calling you that that you're afraid to do. Comfort kills growth. It is important that we regularly do things that push the envelope, make us feel nervous, apprehensive, and uneasy, with the exception of physical danger. This card is asking you to take the plunge and do things that intimidate you. Trust that the net will appear after you jump. And again, really, really sit with your own intuition and see what message resonates for you, because some of you might be so used to putting yourself in uneasy situations and doing things that make you feel uncomfortable because it's easier than allowing yourself to be okay with where you are in life right now, because that feels scary. You know, you feel like maybe you have to always be on guard and have to constantly be taking risks and trying to do things differently and be in this chaos, or things are not normal, because that is what your normal is and what you're so used to. So I definitely feel like this is something where you're going to have to really sit with yourself and see what message resonates. All right, last message, collaboration. And again, I feel like this card is all connected to this Four of Pentacles and the energy overall in this reading, which is really about maintaining being open. I feel like for the collective right now, this time period is really about being as open as possible, being open to things changing, being open to things being different, just being open to what it is that the world has to offer for you, what it is that spirit has to offer for you, and what it is and how it is that things may be changing in your life. So definitely, you know, really sit with those messages and see what resonates for you. But I'm going to go ahead and read this last message, and then we're going to close it out because I keep having camera issues, and I definitely think I'm going to try and do this maybe live on YouTube, or I know eventually I'll go back to live on Instagram. I just right now am focusing on releasing some music, and sticking to the same time every week just doesn't seem to be realistic for me. And I always want to make sure that my intention when I come into these spaces is to be able to read and really read from a place where I want to and can, and feel like it's, you know, fueling me and feels good for me too, you know? And sometimes when I have like this deadline or date where I'm like, oh, I have to come on here every week because I set that time for myself, it's like when I'm not feeling it, I feel like I'm forcing it, and it's harder to, you know, for it to be genuine, to be really honest. And I want to always make sure that my readings are genuine, my energy is genuine. So, you know, whenever I start to feel like I'm having to, you know, force myself to come on here or do something like that, I just don't want to do it, because I want every time that I come on here to feel something that I truly want to do. And so that I'm giving my best to you all, you know, because that's what you deserve. That's what I deserve. That's what we deserve. You feel me? All right, so let's go ahead and read this. Collaboration. Collaboration brings a vision to life and teaches us how to work with others to reach a common goal. We can pollinate the world with more beauty and abundance while learning skills of focus, cooperation, productivity, fellowship, and alchemy. The sacred bee is an impressive collaborator and brings vital nourishment into our lives. Bees work hard with incredible focus and cannot survive without their community and hive. They symbolize how the alchemic results of working together is a powerful process that transmutes something ordinary into something extraordinary. Collaboration is supportive and necessary, and it's an energy that you can connect with right now. It will open up new pathways and will help you accomplish what may otherwise seem impossible, while fostering more joy in the creative process. Open up, reach out, and create something sweet and magical with others. All right, y'all, there you have it. That is your reading for this week for the collective. As always, these messages are timeless, so trust whenever they find you that these messages are for your highest and greatest good, as long as they resonate and as long as they are connecting to your spirit. That is all that matters. As always, be kind to yourself, be gentle to yourself, take your time, give yourself extra hugs. And if you want a personal reading from me, or to join our Patreon, you can check that out down below. I have my Etsy there for one-time readings, or if you would like to join our Patreon and get a reading from me every single month, you can see all those options down below, along with the link to my website where you can learn more about my artistry and my music, which is my main offering. And aside from that, I'm looking forward to connecting with you all real soon. And until then, like I said, take care of yourselves. See you all later. Bye.